Welcome back to another episode of the Girl Power Alliance podcast. I'm so stoked because my guest today is literally on the other side of the planet. It's really early in the morning for her, middle of the day for me, but this is just such an honor. The vision that God gave me for Girl Power Alliance was definitely a global one. So just when we started connecting over social media, Instagram, I was like, this is totally a divine appointment. So let me tell you a little bit about my beautiful guest. Riantha Naidoo is a qualified chartered accountant and life and wellness coach. She was an only child that was born in South Africa. She relocated to Auckland, New Zealand, with her parents at the age of 13. Having completed her bachelor's of Commerce degree, she majored in accounting and commercial law at the University of Auckland. And she was qualified as a chartered accountant. Whilst working at a PwC for nearly 4 years, Riantha moved back to South Africa to be with her partner. The world citizen that she is, Riantha and her partner and their Westie dog now live back again, not in New Zealand this time, but in Melbourne, Australia. She may be Riantha may be in the finance sector by profession, but she also owns her own coaching company for women called Reflection, as in R-I like her name. She believes in the power of coaching and mentorship to unlock all the potential, and her hope is that women realize that they are powerful beyond their wildest imagination. She wants to help women on their journeys toward fulfillment, finding their purpose, their self-worth, embracing their reflection, and who they were meant to be. She's also a writer of poetry. She's an at-home chef. She loves to create inspirational quotes. She's a positivity advocate. She calls herself a wellness millennial and loves everything: lifestyle, health, beauty, and fitness. Her number one piece of advice is to trust the timing of your life and remember that everything happens for a reason. And that brings us to actually meeting the gorgeous Riantha. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you. And when we spoke the first time, you said that maybe your accent was kind of, people wouldn't know which accent it was, but I sometimes mistake South African for Australian.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it depends on where in Australia, because I think the west coast of Australia sounds very different than the east coast.
Don't ever tell my partner that. He hates the Australian accent.
Okay. Well, I'm so happy to have you today on the podcast. I was so touched by our conversation, your story, and how God has just been such a profound factor in so many areas of your life. So even though I read your bio, I would love for you to share with everybody just a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so South African, New Zealander, now in Australia, but I am truly a positivity advocate. I really genuinely want women to succeed in life. I am the founder of Reflection, which is genuinely a business that is around mentorship and coaching women along their own journey to fulfillment and purpose. I too was along that journey myself. I was stuck, I was lost, I was overwhelmed. I didn't really know what my path was. My journey was in life, and as a future mother, a future wife, I thought about the woman that I want to be. First and foremost, the woman I want to be and the best version of myself. And yeah, I started a journey in faith that really brought me somewhere that I didn't expect, but is overwhelmingly beautiful and fulfilling. Yes, I'm in the finance sector, but I recently resigned from my role in finance. It wasn't fulfilling. I was at a crossroads in my life. I was begging for a sign. I'm a sign girl as well. I was begging for a sign that there was something more for me from, compared to finance. And I mentioned to you the other day, I stumbled across a church in the middle of Melbourne CBD, which was quite rare, just in the middle of the CBD. And I took a photo of that beautiful church at the same time that I was praying and praying and praying about what my calling was, because I felt stuck in a role and in a job that was not the right culture for me. And I only came home and I was showing my partner the photo, and I didn't realize at the time when I took the photo, but at the bottom of it was the name of the church, which was the same name of the hospital I was born at, Augustine's Church in Durban, South Africa. So that was a huge sign for me. I then joined the largest women's empowerment network on social media called Boss Ladies Mindset, truly because I was about women's empowerment, but I also wanted to start my own business, and I wanted a business coach with me, alongside me. And I wanted to understand what my purpose was. And through all the, soul searching and the assignments, I found reflection. It was birthed a long time ago, but I knew genuinely what my niche was and who I really wanted as my ideal woman that I wanted to help, because I'm, all about helping people. So yeah, reflection was born, and I've been busy hoping that that it really does help people with an online group coaching course coming up. I'm working on my website right now, but yeah, I've been writing, I've been podcasting as well. But at the moment, I've realized that that meeting you was a divine appointment. Completely right. When you asked for a woman or a coach in Australia right after I finished watching church, and it was so aligned because, of all the signs we've already mentioned, with your beautiful logo, with butterflies and the angel, I genuinely do believe this is a divine appointment. I'm super excited to work with you. And yeah, I think I rambled a little bit longer than I should have, probably.
No, it was perfect. It was perfect. So what she's referring to is, I knew that Girl Power Alliance was going to be a global movement. Didn't know exactly how that was going to happen. That's going to have to be something that God takes on. But it was late one night, and I thought, I'm just going to post that I'm looking for coaches. Part of our program is to really feature coaches that have alignment in their faith. I think that if you're hiring a coach and you are a believer, a follower of Jesus, it is imperative that you align yourself with a coach that shares those beliefs. My gosh, you could get really off track. So it's kind of a whim. I just posted, I said, I'm looking for coaches, all types, in Europe and in Australia, because those are the two places that I felt like God was going to be moving with the Girl Power Alliance. And so that's how we connected. And our conversation, I mean, I like to call it, for sure a divine appointment, but what I've experienced with so many women here at Girl Power Alliance is what I'm calling supernatural synergy. And it's this energy that happens when we have this conversation that is unlike anything I've ever experienced outside of here, where it just, like, I have chills right now. It just feels so right. And that's exactly what happened with Riantha and I. And her background is so rich, and her story of just coming to faith is so beautiful, because you did not grow up in a family of faith, correct?
I grew up in a family of faith. Definitely, it was at the forefront of every conversation. Really, a really amazing family, but it wasn't a Christian home. No, it wasn't a Christian home. It was a Hindu home, a completely amazing, loving home. But interestingly, my dad posted a photo of me as a little child on our WhatsApp family group a few days ago, and it brought me to tears because on the rock said Jesus is the answer, and I was a little child, and it was in Cape Town on top of the mountains, and it really did mean a lot to me, because it almost felt like I was chosen before I even realized. And my partner's Christian. When I moved to South Africa, he would go to church on Sundays. Not every Sunday, but he would love to go to church, and I never really understood it as yet. I knew when we did long distance he would go, but I never understood it, and that was the best way to put it. My family's so open. My grandmother, when I was a child, she would always talk about praying to the sun. and even, you know, people in my family have married or gone into the faith as well. But I almost fell into it in the most divine way, because I started to go to church, and then I became a non-singer to the loudest singer, to knowing every single word on every single Hillsong or every worship song. Now it becomes my anthem, my daily prayer. I just know the words off the top of my head now. And I'm the one who says, I mean, even though he still loves it, but I'm the one who reminds him church on Sunday, or let's put online church on now during COVID time. It has truly changed my life. So to stepping into this faith, and becoming a believer and actually saying those words, it's huge for me. I truly, it has changed my life.
Well, what you just spoke about, the photo that you saw on in your group chat with your family, that made me tear up. And you're right; it makes me want to cry. You were.
Oh.
He called you. He's been calling you.
Yeah, and I didn't realize. And I think when my dad sent that, it meant it meant the world to me to have him send that photo out of everyone that could have sent that photo.
Did you mention anything about that to him in the photo?
I just commented back with a lot of heart signs, and was so happy about it. And then I put it straight away on my Instagram saying I'm chosen. And I've been saying that a lot through the season of my life, because resigning before COVID and then almost saying, oh, should I just, because it's the expectation of me to go back into finance, but it's not my passion right now. I mean, I love finance strategy analysis. I love that side of it. But just at this season of my life, my passion is leading me in reflection coaching for women. But I've been saying I've been facing mountains in my life to show others it can be moved. And for that photo to be on a mountaintop as a little child, I never thought about it this way, but every time I was going to church and every time I was leading more in, it wasn't me choosing church, it was God choosing me. And that's what I felt recently. It was just God pulling me closer and closer and closer towards him. And he became my best friend in every single aspect of my life. That he's the first, my confidant, he's my strength, he's everything now.
It's hard for me to even speak. That's
me
so
too.
Beautiful.
I'm like, hold it together to myself.
I know. We cried last time we talked. I'm going to try really hard to hold it together for the actual recording. But it's so beautiful. And I think that, you know, you responded to the call. So many people feel that calling, but they're afraid because of a number of things. Maybe what will their family think? What will their spouse think, or their friends think if they listen to the call? And if I listen to the call, how will my life change? I mean, your life has changed dramatically from, you know, growing up in a Hindu family to now being a follower of Christ, living on how many different continents, you know what I mean? And now completely switching gears in your career because you're following this call. You're still following the call.
Yeah, I am. It's so true. I'm following the call. And I during the time that I was also at a crossroads, a friend in South Africa who is Christian as well, I was very close to her, and she sent me a prayer over my life just before she didn't know anything about applying for Boss Ladies Mindset. And she just sent me a prayer over a voice note on WhatsApp, and she said, I pray that women come into your life, that speak life into your life, and all this beautiful stuff. And I cried because I was driving home and I just played that voice note. I cried because she had no idea what I was applying for or what I was trying to achieve. She had no idea about reflection coaching yet, nothing about it. And it was just, that was such a sign for me. And even another sign of getting a package at my door that I never actually have evidence of purchasing. And the quote said, believe you can, and you're halfway there. It was just more and more signs that I'm just on the right path. And I am following this call it feels like God's leading me. I genuinely feel God's leading me to this destination it's a journey. It's not a destination, but it's just a beautiful one. It's a relationship that I've never had before.
It's so beautiful. And if somebody's listening right now, okay, and they and they are feeling something. They're not sure what it is. What advice would you give them to how to respond to this feeling inside of them that's pulling them somewhere?
I would say trust your intuition. Um, Intuition is the first sign of a supernatural feeling, because that's the one we understand before supernatural side. It's that intuition. So if our intuition is guiding us, I always say close your eyes and like feel that feeling that you're feeling inside. Does it bring warmth and happiness and positivity, or does it feel wrong and negative and whatever? So whatever feeling you got from the deepest parts of your soul, use that as your guiding force, because God is good. So if you're feeling anything but good and happy and something welling inside of you that is just a God-given beauty, then you know. So just trust your intuition and just follow that sense in you that you know that God knows what's best for you. For the plans I know, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. So just know that it's if it's hopeful and it's positive and it's glorious and it's good, you know you're on the right path.
That's so awesome. I think there's an element of courage also, because you're literally, this is what you went to school for. This is what you've done for so many years, and you're moving to a completely different track. Although I will put up another plug in. When we spoke the first time, I said, "Listen, you're so brilliant. You have a background in finance. You love to coach." I virtually begged her to create a course for women that we will have at Girl Power Alliance on finance and wealth and the biblical principles behind that. So I'm just putting a plug in there because I'm planting that seed. I'm planting that seed. But I think it takes, when we follow God's call, it's a partnership, right? He's speaking to you. I believe that what we call intuition is the Holy Spirit speaking into us. And so, but it's a partnership, because he will speak and then we have to respond, and we respond with what? An action or changing our thought process or whatever. But that takes courage. And so can you speak a little bit about, somebody's listening to this right now, that's where you were before you resigned, before the whole COVID thing happened, and they're afraid to take the step. So how would you speak into somebody about really being courageous?
Yeah, so I think it started from me getting a job here, which was amazing in Australia, whilst I still lived in South Africa. And then suddenly our move was literally effortless. My partner and I just moved. Like we got our house in order, we moved our furniture, we moved our dog, our whole life just transformed in 1 month, because I felt something in me that God was pulling me to Australia, and that there was an amazing opportunity for a better life and a family and raising kids and everything that I hoped and dreamed of. We both did in Australia. And so we took completely out of nowhere moved. No one expected that. And then coming here and then leaving that amazing job and going to another one that I thought was a good promise for my life, and it ended up not panning out, which is okay. Life happens. And then that second job where I just didn't feel myself in it, and wanting to leave was a long time coming. It wasn't the right role for me, and it wasn't the right culture. So yes, I trusted my intuition, but I always say trust God, but move your feet. Yes. That's what I've been saying. Trust God, but move your feet. So I trusted what God was saying. I saw the signs. I was leaning in. I was, every time we went to church, the sermons were speaking to me like they've never spoken before, every word. And like I would nudge my partner and be like, oh my gosh, that's what I just said. Like everything was just making sense. And then I said, okay, I'm not a quitter. I gave it a go, but I left knowing that I was just following my calling, my passion, my purpose in life. It wasn't on a whim. It was carefully thought about, with my partner, and we saw it through for my own mental health. And that's what is really important for people as well. Your well-being is number one. mainly one of the main reasons I opened Reflection was because of well-being and mental health, and women knowing that they don't need to be stuck in a place they don't belong.
Right.
That could be a relationship, and I've had my fair share of that. That could be a job. That could be anything. You don't have to be stuck where you don't belong. And you know, being the victim of bullying as well in the workplace, I've experienced that. I know when to say I've tried and it's not meant for me. I think that's something that will come with experience and in life. I always say that you need to learn the lessons. You know, when I wrote my ebook, I said that we make mistakes and we can fail at things, but sometimes we need to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
So in response to your question, it was long-winded, but trust God, move your feet. And I think that's what I did. I've always trusted God in my decisions. I was that girl that put pressure on things. I had anxiety. I was overwhelmed whenever before really strengthening my relationship with God, because I always believed in God. It was just not as strong. I was anxious about my decisions, and now I realize that I almost let I let go and I let God. I say, is this the right path for me? I have that conversation with God. I feel the intuition as a warm and fuzzy inside. But I also move my feet. I make decisions. I'm decisive. I think about good. I want to bring goodness in this world. I want to bring kindness into this world. I want to create a legacy for my children that grow up to say, Mom went for everything she dreamt of, and she didn't just tell us that we can go for our dreams. I do want children and future women to know that there's power in their courage, there's power in their strength, there's courage in their conviction. And COVID is the season in our life, I genuinely believe this, that we are called for such a time as this, and we are called for now, and we are called to rise up from this. So I joke that the word rise has R-I in it, my name. I put my name in everything, as you can tell. But I believe that, if this too shall pass, and you've got to trust God, but move your feet. You have to.
Well, that is a beautiful thing. And in the course that I just put together for Girl Power Alliance, my course is on clarity and being able to actually create clarity and finding your superpower. And that is exactly correct. I mean, here's the thing that I think that you really so eloquently talked about. You instead of talking about fear and courage, you talked about trust. And the thing is, having courage does not mean that you don't feel fear. It means that your trust in God is bigger than the fear that you have. And so the fear is still there. You're still like, okay, I'm going to take this crazy leap. I'm going to do something. I'm taking the steps. You're moving your feet, like you said, but I'm following this pull. And I believe that God uses the whole body. You spoke about, wellness and your mental health. And I believe that God, in my own life, I've seen this a bunch of times. He will, there's a lot of signs before I finally make a move. Like there's all these things that as you look back, you realize, well, shoot, this has actually been going on for a long time. I just didn't realize it, or I wasn't aware of it. But if you kind of look back, you realize there was this misalignment happening in your life. You're right. You're anxious. You don't sleep. It just doesn't feel right. You get that little knot in the pit of your belly, and it goes on because your body knows. Your body responds to that. So okay, you have a podcast, you have an ebook, you're doing coaching. Tell everybody that's listening all the things that you do.
Yes. So, as I mentioned, regional vice president for Boss Ladies Mindset. So in that, we also do a lot of, I do some tutorials, and we're also working on a wellness part of that as well. But I really am passionate about reflection coaching. So in that side of it, I am now working on my website development, which is exciting. I'm very excited about that. And I'm soon going to launch my website because I'm launching a group coaching course called Love Your Reflection. So first time I've ever announced that right now, Love Your Reflection is called. And it's going to be an online course. And yeah, I write. I just put my ebook on Amazon. It was called 10 Must-Have Life Hacks for Women Who Want to Thrive in Their 30s. It's just got 10 pivotal lessons that I learned in my 20s. And yeah, started a podcast as well. Available on Spotify and iTunes. It's called Reflection as well. And I'm busy trying to formulate my course modules at the moment and then launch that hopefully in the next week or two. I've been really busy with that. Apart from that, which actually has kept me really busy, but apart from that, I am just a woman with a dream right now, that it'll really help, help women in their own journeys to where I was before to now, and work with you. I am excited about that. Girl Power Alliance on the next bit of that as well. So I am super excited to work with you.
I'm so excited about that. Tell everybody where they can find you. Where are you in the world? And by the time this podcast airs, I know your website will be up and running. So tell us your website, how to find you on social media.
Perfect. So my website will be reflection.com as well. It's
RI
flexion.
Okay.
Instagram is actually ri.flexion. Unfortunately, I couldn't change the two, but that's all right. So Reflection is Instagram as well. Re-flexion on Facebook. And yeah, those are the three main places you can find me for now. And Spotify and iTunes also re-flexion. The only one that is re.flexion is Instagram.
Okay. All of that information that you just heard, if you're listening on the podcast, it'll all be in the show notes, so you can get it there. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, it'll all be right below the video and all the information so that you can connect with her. If you're in Australia or anywhere near that time zone, which this is, like I said, this is very early in the morning for her. But reach, and by the way, if you're anywhere in the world, I mean, I'm certain there are so many women in their 30s that would love to connect with you, read your book. We'll have a link to her book also in this information.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are on the right path. I know that you are going to impact many, many, many lives.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Michelle. And ditto, you are amazing. Amazing, amazing. What you're doing for this movement is life-changing. I am super excited to work with you. And I also just wish you all the best. This is super exciting what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, it's total God thing. Same as you, different vehicles, but same thing. Just listening to the call and trusting and moving my feet. I'm doing just what you're doing.
Lovely. Amazing.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for being a guest here today. And I cannot wait to see what happens here in the future for you.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you so much. This was awesome.